Everyone can take a seat, please. We're getting ready to start again.
So great, I can't see if everyone's saying that or not. Let's be frank. Buying a Nikon doesn't make you a photographer. It makes you a Nikon owner. You know who you are.
And I have to agree with you there, and that brings us to this next set, scrapbook. You know those old albums you got lying around, how every once in a while you dig through it and see how things have changed and how everybody has kind of grown a little? A lot?
Yeah. And that's pretty much the essence of the next set, a series of poems that each represent a family and the ties that bind them. Thank you.
I'm Kiana Russ, and this is Festina for our grandmother's sorrows. On hot summer mornings, sitting by the stairs, I'd watch my grandmother planting flowers while singing songs of stolen youth. She'd talk about her has-been life and how each day her light got brighter with not enough time to right wrongs on the clock. As seconds walked by on the clock, she slowly makes it up the stairs. With each step, the truth gets brighter and lies withered like day-old flowers. She gave me the smile of 1,000 lives and told me to go out and capture my youth. She told me the story of her happy youth and how time seemed to fly with no hands on the clock. She said she and her sister had planned out their lives, but somehow they never seemed to make it up the stairs. So they stayed in the garden planting flowers, their colors a contrast to the world so bright. Before this, her future was bright. She had the world in her hands and a friend of youth. Her life had blossomed like springtime flowers, but now time ran too quickly from the clock, and her hopes and dreams came falling down the stairs, forcing her to live an arranged life. Her marriage had coerced her to give up a life that had once held the happiness and promise so bright. She gave it all up for the children upstairs. She told them to always cherish the youth because before they'd know it, they'd have no time to their clocks, and the ground would soon receive their flowers. With delicate hands, she cut her flowers, a cycle repeated all her life. It was the way she spent time on the clock. Her memories were kept in the dark brightness. While she lay in bed, remembering her youth, she wished she reached that top step. With ticking of the clock on the bed of flowers, I thought of the stairs they'd climb in their life and hope that they blossom in the brightness of youth. Thank you. Up next is Michelle Farina.
This is Kingly. She used to set me out, lay the 64 squares flat, place me and 11 of my men on our little black boxes, across from 12 enemy men, then beg Papa to join the strategic war against her. Eventually, he'd lay his newspaper down and sit opposite her post. I wasn't allowed to touch the red squares. She was finally old enough to remember this rule of war. Papa was wise, with age-old tactics. She was softer, in touch, but rushed in action, fighting me diagonally this way and that. Papa's face never changed. It remained concentrated, with permanent ridges on his forehead similar to my rims. But not her. Her green eyes would dim and brighten, nose would wrinkle, and lips purse, until she finally found a way to capture one of the enemy men. Papa merely nodded when she would proudly announce, "Crown me," with her triumphant smile from conquering enemy territory, never realizing that she underestimated her opponent until it was too late, and she would scour. Papa generally won in those days, patting her blonde ringlets, saying, "You'll learn sometime." Now my battlefield remains folded up, and my ridges are occupied by dust. The other day I heard her say, "I found my king," as she showed off a shiny piece on her finger instead of me in her palm. Papa finally smiled. He'll be the one to crown you now. Thank you. And next up, we have Amanda Vasquez.
This is Distelfink. Enjoy your time in high school. An off-color statement and a far cry from the girl I knew, who shoved candy under the doors of us who were banished from the dinner table, who stashed unsent love letters to would-be boyfriends and Disney superstars under her bed, who craved the attention of every adult to replace the attention never given to her by her mother, who finished every game of Uno, Rummy 500, and Go Fish in blind determination, while I fizzed out at any sign of defeat. It seems as though the tables have turned, and you are the one that is backing away, and I am the one that is playing a good hand. I miss you too, sister. Up next is Carla Christie.
This is just a little bit longer. Standing there, just you, me, and her. All there is to say is, what's going on? Aching at my foot is a sharp urge to stab you with her watching. This is not the first time that this has happened, but it will be the last. Red, yellow, green. Together for almost 8 months, each new charm. I was always the one who said I would never be tempted. Each time your eyes catch me and I come back. You should do us all a favor and leave her. She's not what you thought she was. Interfering with family would never happen. A moment in time. Tick-tock, tick-tock. In the sand, we drew a line and promised to never cross it. But you did that when you turned out to be the dad that no girl should look up to. Thank you. Up next is Casey Friend.
This is life beyond the scrapbook. I still see my mother. I see her every day, kissing cuts, bandaging bruises, and tying her apron. Smiling with the coral lipstick, she never breaks eye contact, sitting in her favorite chair. Sometimes, I smell the lavender she passed on through holiday hugs. I can see her hand grace the curve of her hip and hear echoes of bedtime tales. Though she is no longer with me, I still see my mother. I see her every day, crystallized in Polaroids. So I dove into the photograph. Thank you. Up next is Mia Scott.
This is my poem, My Niece the Superhero. Since August 19th, I've been convinced that my niece has superpowers. See, in a room full of people, she can make them forget speech, not want to eat, and only have their eyes on her. My father, he holds my niece like moon rocks in Nazareth, carefully cradling her torso like he is a shepherd that must protect, and she probably has no idea who he is. She just knows that he gives good hugs and smells like a man, and knows that she can probably bounce the highest in his hands, my niece. She has the most beautiful smile. Looks like sliced grapefruit in my grandmother's backyard. She now is harvesting 2 teeth inside her bottom jaw. They have not yet peaked, but we know that they are there. They will be beautiful and small and replaceable, like her first memories. And I remember before she first followed the tunnel to life, I knew that she was a beautiful soul. See, she used to dance during her sonograms to the beat of my sister's questions like, is she healthy? How many pounds is she? Are you sure that's not a penis? And I swear, I saw those 2 front teeth coming the Christmas Eve my sister told me she was pregnant. I remember wanting to tell her that sometimes periods are like heartbeats. They skip during the most important moments, but I bit my tongue as she bit her fist like a newborn. What are you going to name it finally broke the silence? I don't know finally brought it back. We were 2 children asking too many questions with not enough will to hear the answer when I was 11, and my sister was 15. She used to tell me all these names. She wanted her future 5 children to be called, whose father was an executive at some awesome place, at some awesome job, and was appreciative to have her and their awesome children in his life. And she would always throw me random names she made up and ask me my opinion like, yo, Nia, Jamaila's cute, right? And I would always tell her that this name was ugly, just like the ones before it. That she would never curse her child with that name, and she didn't. See, I was set on Emma. But she named her Nala in the start of her last trimester, and I always wanted Nala's name to be something ironic or backwards, because the hate my sister held on to would come out as love. How backwards? Like how Nala would come in Neve, but come out heaven, she told me. Nala, I wanted to start with an N like yours. What does it mean, I asked. She said a gift. I asked if Nala would have a middle name. She said yes, Taraji, means faith, like your middle name. My niece. She loves to smile. In between pooping, bouncing, eating, and playing with the hands, I've noticed it's a top favorite. And often she smiles at me. And sometimes I can look into her eyes like a mirror and laugh too, for I am big and fragile. And a contradiction that cannot laugh at my future like she does. I can only laugh at right now. See, right now, I write poetry like I think, with no direction. I only put down what I feel and make sense of it later. What sense does it make to know everything now? My niece, she knows nothing. But she can look at you like she's seen it all before, so your looks can calm me down and frustrate me. All in a series of movements. Usually it's the first, because she barely cries, like how I barely cry, because we think we're too cool for that. And see, she is this superhero cool baby. She has the skill of bringing people together in my family. There would still be pop rocks and a choking esophagus if Nala was never there. She is the last laughed off the Titanic. The empty revolver in Russian roulette. The story that gives me hope and uplifts my spirits, and all she had to do was breathe. See, I hold my niece like a sneeze. I never want to let her go. So I want to hold on to something that's super. Even if it laughs in my face, I just want to be there. Purposely hold an accident that turned into frontline happiness. I want to hold on to faith. Nala, I hold her like my poems. Thank you.
Ooh, go Nia, yeah. Woo.
Yeah, he is great. So, Tyree, what do you think of when you hear the word shutter speed?
I don't know, maybe exaggerated camera noises, onomatopoeia, like like laser beams coming out of my camera, it's like, stuff like that.
Sounds aside, this set is all about the speed behind the shutter, the click that symbolizes a passing of a moment.
A flash, appearing in the blink of an eye.
And then fading away.
My name is Christian Corcoran. This is my prose piece. If senior citizens could use computers, they would write this. Dear Stephen, I don't know why people now think that these electronic typewriters are any good. Always finding a way to make something different nowadays. They are much bigger, and they cost more money, and it takes me forever to find the lock for the keys. I tried explaining to the young man on the phone that my electronic typewriter didn't come with the key, but he tried to tell me that they were on some sort of board. I don't know why the younger generation think that they are so much smarter than us, because my device did not include a lock or a key. I guess that they could scam some old lady out of her money by saying one thing on the box and then lying to her on the phone. And you'll never guess what they tried to tell your grandfather when we went shopping the other day, because Debbie is always trying to... After Debbie said we should get one, because Debbie's always trying to keep up with her kids. Did you know they went to college now? Such nice kids. Her daughter had an awful large fancy for you in high school, You should call her sometime. Tell you what, I'll just call her for you and tell her you said hello. Keep some of the mystery and romance in it. Well, enough about you. Let's get back to me. Hang on, your grandfather's calling. Speaking of calling, why don't you call us anymore? We hardly hear from you. Do you not love us anymore? It's Debbie's daughter, isn't it? She told you not to talk to us anymore. I knew it. Don't worry, Stevie. I will call her right now and set her straight. I don't want to have great grandchildren who are being raised by some floozy. You're such a handsome boy. You can do so much better than her. Oh, and remember that your Aunt Carla's birthday's coming up, so I want you to get her something nice this time. Not like, you've never been lost. Dang these new electronic typewriters. Thank you. Next is Sarah Castro.
This is my prose piece called Windows. I chewed my lip as I twisted the bottom of the tube, watching the tip of the eyeliner emerge from the mouth of the device. Blackest black, I read, and turned it over in my hands. It wasn't going to turn out well, that much I knew. How much time I would waste in an attempt to make it look okay, at the very least, I had no idea. Keep your eyes closed, I muttered under my breath. She followed my command, and her hazel pupils hid behind fleshy lids. My breath released in a wary sigh as I mounted the tip of the pencil at the inner corner of her eyelid. Make me look beautiful, she murmured, the hint of a chuckle in her voice. Applying makeup to my own face takes minutes, less. A soft coating of beige overlapping my face. Just a few simple strokes to bold black borders around my eyes. Long sweeps from the soft bristles of a brush, dusting light pink pigments along my cheeks. With her it was different. There was no simplicity. The pencil did not glide across with the slightest persuasion of my fingers. It haltingly rode over the ridges of her eyelids, forcing me to double back and cover the same area twice. My gaze roved across the countertop and settled upon her watch. We were due to leave in less than 5 minutes, and she had not even put in her earrings. My fingers twisted at the bottom of the tube again, yet no new stretch of black emerged. Of course I would run out now, I mused, but there was still enough left to finish the job. I switched to her left eye, beginning again at the inner corner and slowly moving across. The bottom was still left to do, but I figured that was best saved for last. I could anticipate this trouble she would face trying to keep her eyes open. The pencil faltered over the crinkles of her eyelid, and I pressed harder, brows furrowing from the difficulty. I compared the left to the right and already sensed the symmetry had been lost, so I considered whether or not I should return to the right and darken the lines there, but another look at the watch dashed those thoughts away. Now open your eye and look up, I directed. I was no longer made to deal with the ridges, but now there was a wide expanse of yellowed white to look at. The eyeliner had dulled to the point that I was dragging the blunt end directly across the line beneath her eye. She twitched, fighting off another blink. But yet I knew she would not be able to fend herself from the next. Keep it open, I warned. I'm trying, she mumbled, looking away and blinking furiously. With 2 minutes past departure, I swiped the eyeliner beneath the other eye quickly and capped the pencil before I had time to change my mind. You're done, I said, and you look gorgeous. We looked into the mirror together, both scanning her makeup. I noticed the more subtle effects of aging. The years had not settled in only her arthritic joints and graying scalp. The skin of her face had not yet begun to loosen and sag, but the flesh that stretched over her eyes had begun to wrinkle, like fingertips pruning in water. I focused on those creases, the lines of red that riddled her yellowed eyes as I surveyed my work. Uneven blocks of black circled her eyes, but she smiled at her reflection. You really think so? She asked. Yeah, Mom, I do. Up next is Nia Scott.
This is To Unripened Fruit, a triolet. In 2012, a Detroit father was convicted guilty of killing his 15-year-old son, execution style, after hearing that his son molested his 3-year-old half-sister, the father's youngest daughter. This is a poem in his point of view. You are your own man now. I can no longer raise you. Close your eyes. Bow your head down. You are your own man now. Fear not death's look or sound. You're your own man now. I will no longer raise you. Thank you.
I'm Kat Sergi, and this is my prose piece, Tripping Beats in Beauty. I watch as the swirling clouds spin by overhead and dig my toes deeper into the warm sand, my neck craned up and facing the left, the side of me where you rest your calloused feet. You sit in the first foldable chair, falling into your cigarette break, glasses on, skin relaxed, goosebumps out of your control. I look at the sky with my head facing the left because it makes it easier to swipe what I think are sly glances at you. It's a simple motion, just drop and gaze, then lift, all the while remembering not to linger too long or my cover may be blown. The clouds twist like a nest of snakes, curl like your cigarette smoke, and pulse like free thought in your heart while you sleep. I like to listen to that. It has perfect rhythm because you have perfect rhythm. I see your head swivel in the bottom of my vision, and I look quickly, hoping that your eyeless gaze has been directed my way. Your glasses glisten gold, and they do not allow any gaps between plastic and skin for onlookers to peek into. I can't see you. I giggle nervously. You smile when you see and hear my laugh. Good. You had been looking at me after all. What? You ask, holding your hand out to me, offering me your elfish fingers to cherish with the touch of my mortal skin. Suddenly, I'm thinking of fairies and air and sand and water and wings. Oh, how beautiful it would be to fly and be with those swirling clouds that so reminded me of our mouths at night. Elf and mortal, but yet your hand is held out to me graciously. I accept. You squeeze my fingers together tightly and suck in a little air through closed teeth as if you were trying to extract smoke from the atmosphere, like you hadn't had your fill. You smile, and I glance back up at the sky, taking in nature, absorbing beauty. I look back at you in your ever-shaded eyes. I take in your beauty. I smile. Nothing, I say, finally answering your question. I just never can tell when you're looking at me or past me. Your pointed canines draw my attention like they always do. My thoughts travel to your missing teeth, the two that made your mouth wonderfully crooked. My smile cracks a little, and my heart hiccups as you drop my hand and rise to your feet, pulling your drumsticks out from under your belt. They are covered in black and white duct tape that you put there to force your sticks to last longer. Before you completely shift your attention to your rhythm, you twist a little and look down at me, mortal and musically inept. I manage just a little smirk and dig my toes into the sand a little deeper, hiding from the almost cold wind. My world shifts a little with this action, and suddenly your ears look even more elf-like, your covered eyes even more sinister, your rickety teeth even more enticing, and another thought occurs to me. I blurt it out mindlessly. You're the eyeless elf. My enthusiasm is apparent, my playfulness is loud, and my longing, as always, is subtle. You never pick up on my longing. As far as you're concerned, you're the only one who says when I burn with passion. Striking passion for you on my own is a thought that never crosses your mind, it seems. Your eyebrows perk up and your lips stretch further. Your body bends a little as you let out a genuine laugh that I always loved being the cause of. You crack me up, you say, humor trickling out of your mouth like foamy saliva. Your hands ruffle my windswept hair, and then you're gone. Your touch and passion diverted and channeled into your drums, your pulse. For you, the idea is over. You were only an eyeless elf in those few fleeting joking seconds, but I can't stop staring. The rock of your hips to the beat of drums and the bell drips of the flute, the slight malicious curve of your spine, the faster-than-light movement in which you twirl and tap your weapon of choice. You are more beautiful to me now than you ever were. Your ears and teeth are pointed like daggers, and then my mind spins, and the clouds, that are so much like you with their ebb and flow, twirl together across my eyes, and the pulse of your music calls to me. Your heartbeat beckons me like how a lighthouse lures in ships from the ocean, and I cannot resist your pull. Thank you. Up next is Jessica Malagaka.
This is a flash fiction piece, Who Cares About the Quiet Old Lady? The note reads, I entered you in a drawing to win a cruise for two to the Bahamas. Anonymous. I don't know whether I should take it seriously or not. If it's true, then I suppose I should try to do something in return to brighten someone's day or something. If not, should I just ignore it? Let it go unnoticed, throw it in the street, and leave it to the world? Maybe I'll pass it on. I'll leave it for someone specific and let them deal with the decision. With all the confusion and wanting to be flattered but not knowing if you'll end up being humiliated. Of course, someone else might not think much of it. They might giggle at it and throw it in the garbage or hang it in a bulletin board in their cubicle, occasionally glancing at it and assuming it was left as a joke. Just a simple, funny statement. But I have to make it the only thought on my mind and keep myself on guard, not trusting any of my colleagues because I've never been noticed. Not in the slightest or rudest way, nothing. I'm invisible to them. All of New York. To everyone except my boss. Why would I even bring on a cruise to the Bahamas? My plants? I wonder if they would let me do that. Mildred? I'm interrupted by my boss. He's noticed that I'm sitting here without working. Of course, Mr. Don, what is it? He walked closer to me and placed his hand on my shoulder. Well, one of the other employees has mentioned to me that they believe they may have left something accidentally on your keyboard that was meant for someone else. Did you find a strange note this morning? I hand him the note slowly. I'm still invisible. Thank you. Next is Yana Gibson.
This is When Cameras Plead. Give me this one, please. I never ask you for anything. I spend countless hours with people both me and you could care less about. I sit back and watch all your dreams and embarrassments come true. Yet, you take from me. All I want is this one, that moment when a candid photo makes the canvas look like a child's finger painting. So let me keep this memory, at least for today. Thank you.
It goes without saying that for every object that is in any given light source, a shadow is cast.
And these poems are the shadow casted from the light of all the other sets.
A dark room It's a room that can be made completely dark to allow the processing of light-sensitive photographic materials.
Enjoy the final set, Dark Room.
Hi, I'm Kezia. September 11th, 2001. We all remember that tragic day in which hijacked planes crashed into the World Trade Center. Many lives were lost and perished. Because my birthday is on 9/11, I've always had a personal connection to this event. I wanted to know how it felt to be a man who worked in the North Tower that day. This is my interpretation. It's called If I Had Known. If I had known it would be the last time I saw your face, lay a kiss upon your cheek or give a gentle embrace, I would have made it last. If I had known it would be the last time I told you I love you, caress your swollen stomach or say I'll see you, I wouldn't have left so fast. If I had known I should have looked towards the gas gauge, stopped at the station and put gas in my car, I wouldn't have been late. If I had known I should have waited for the elevator, not rush for another or take the stairs, I wouldn't have hesitated. If I had known I could have visited my boss in his office on the 3rd floor or taken a bathroom break, I wouldn't have been here. If I had known to turn around, look out the clear glass window at precisely 8:46 a.m., or walk past it to gaze at the sun, I would have seen it coming. If I had known I woken up an hour earlier that morning, wasn't due for work until 10, or checked the time, I would be alive. I would be with you. Thank you. Next up is Rosalind McDaniel. This is that day. How could I ever forget that day? The day when your brown, slender body tossed itself onto the cold bathroom floor, I won't forget that day. And until last year, 2011, I blamed me for not saving you. Flashbacks and memories ran through my mind. But I was 13. I didn't know what to do. I screamed when they took you from me because I needed you. I needed you to be that one that was for me when people were against me. I needed your love. And through the course of the 13 years I spent with you, you gave me that. So to ask for you to prolong on earth to suffer would be selfish. Ignorant to ask God to bring you back. 2 Corinthians says to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. So to be in heaven watching me from above is what you deserve. And the tears that pour from my eyes and race down my cheeks are the happy tears. Because I often feel frustrated knowing I lost someone as good as you, when I should be thankful for the privilege of meeting someone like you, but it took me to overcome the grief. And realizing that every Kodak, Nikon, and Polaroid moment we shared together was worth more than this poem. Worth more than 1,000 words, because it wasn't just a joining of two strangers, but it was us. A snapshot of an unbreakable bond. Thank you. And next is Rebecca Nelson Fulkerson.
This is my flash fiction piece called Stealing Roses from a Cemetery. I walked through the cemetery as the sun was sinking into the horizon. Purples, blues, and pinks dyed the skies as the colors fell down upon my shoulders. Autumn leaves stained with red, yellow, and orange crunched beneath my footfalls. They held the promise of death as they decomposed beneath me, joining the rest of the stolen lives underneath the soil. I came to a rest at a molded-over green tombstone, and memories flashed back into my mind as sounds filled the air. The screaming that escaped your lungs. The gunshot dealt from my own gun, triggered by my finger and let loose with a simple pull. I remembered the beauty of your blood as it gathered around my feet in a pool. The deep color of red and black combined with the swirl of cement mixing into it. I remember the tears that fell from my eyes as I realized what path I took that night. There is a reason, though I cannot deny you of that, and even though you were lying under my feet, long past decomposed, I knew you were still listening. You betrayed me, Danny. I said while looking down at your tombstone. I took my thumb and wiped away the mold that had gathered over your name. You were my brother, and you betrayed me, and I couldn't do anything about it! I kicked at the rotting piece of stone, which nearly gave way under the pressure. I bent down and arched my back, crouching on my heels, with my head in my hands. So that's why you had to go. You turned me into a madman. I took my head away from my hands, and I tore my vision from the ground where the remains of my shadow laid, and up at the sky again. Peaceful colors rained down on my face and washed away the tension in my muscles. Tears again fell, but I felt no emotion towards my loss. Numbness is the only thing that comes up when I think of you. I looked down at the unearthed soil, and at the foot of your tombstone were 3 bright red flowers. You don't deserve these, brother. Not even if they were given to you by the one that you love. I reached down and retrieved the delicate flowers, knowing that I was just adding to the debt that I already dug myself into. Breathing in their sweet air, I uncurled my body and towered over the ground in a standing position. I remembered what our father used to say as I stole another breath of the delicious aroma of the roses. Stealing from the dead will only curse you forever. Ignoring his words that echoed in my mind, I walked off, staring into the sky that had now fallen into an ashen blue. I walked past grave after grave, knowing that remorse to mix with loss was never a good combination. Looking back at your tombstone for the very last time, I closed the cemetery gates with the promise that I would never return again, holding the fear that you'll be waiting for me. Thank you. Up next is Casey Craig.
This is called Dial Down. The landline follows a heartbeat. What next? What next? What next? But the operator cannot pass on pulses through to the other side. That haunting 404 will always turn me to stone, a wicked Medusa who solidifies my ability to force out those last 4 digits. He must hear that gasp through granite somehow. Static, silence. Only the hum of fillers and artificial preservatives feed potential sentences we could share. Unsatisfied, I feel famine. My lips twitch, aching to break this igneous prison, but knowing all I can do is twiddle my fingers along the telephone cord. Listen. He is livid and carves into me like liquid, eroding away anything that once existed underneath my chest, as an amber canyon. With force and rhythm, he bursts into my eardrum. Ash and lava fill the crevices of their canals, yet still I stand frozen. We must be bending physics, because all that time, tenor, and the ticking what next would next dissolved my melting point, drowned, undeciphered upon the dial. Now my line hangs dry. 404, what next, what next? Operator, be my savior. For through the static in the stone, all I can hear is, I think we're breaking up. Thank you. Up next is Kezia Mares.
This is Sweet Dreams Are Made of These. Under the bridge, wandering on the highway to hell, pondering beneath the purple rain, flashes of no vacancy flying the road to Hotel California. Let's paint it black and watch as the river runs blue, gaze at the luminescent stars in the sky and let our lungs fill with smoke. So ramble on, but here comes the sun, bleeding through bluegrass. All the while, the silver rocking chair sits, and the blackbird flies. The new day has come, and with it, the crystal ship shatters and breaks on through to the other side of the symphonic dream. Thank you. Up next is Haley Guerin.
This is Slivered Reassurance. The mocha-stained, tattered picture, once bursting with life, is now colorless. All that remains of that memory are the sounds of an acoustic guitar being strummed. She softly hums that familiar melody, music brand new to my ears all those days ago. Like my memory, the snapshot has shrunken in size, burnt, shredded edges. The day will forever leave a mark on my heart. It will be my reminder of fragmented engagements. The mocha-stained, forlorn picture is now colorless. Acoustic melodies echo in my head, leaving that day like a fingerprint in my memory. Thank you. Next is Victoria Brody.
Hello, this is Drowning. It started with quick-witted verses that birth innocent glances and inadvertently promising gestures, cast out to a sea of what-ifs, maybes, and pending doubts, leaving us to lay shipwrecked at the bottom of it. Captured by the currents, the salt water had exfoliated our skin, making us raw, and unable to hide behind our false remarks. We were left, naked, sprawled along the shorelines, our bodies tossed to a whim of faith, and our minds left to explore the nature of a new territory that greeted us warmly with breezes metaphoric as the change of seasons. We waltzed along the terrains and withheld the moon that lit the night sky, etching our names out in luminescence in the hopes of making it memories. The destruction of innocence and the salt stain sketching out a scene of possibly maybes. But we were quick to learn that the atmosphere was not a stable canvas. As the parchment tore and the watercolors bled into a familiar shade of gray. Then suddenly, open spaces were bound tight, asphyxiating opportunity as the noose does the trembling hands of the victim, bound by circumstance, waiting for the oceans to draft us. But we dared, to tread our souls against the crust of the terrains, feeling the grit of sand settle beneath our toes. The bliss stopped short by rocks that jabbed their way through the surfaces of our skin, penetrating the vessels that once housed the liquid adrenaline on which we fed. We bled, cold anxiety, into the stagnant waters of our origin, waters now tainted by the toxins of our disillusions, on the horizon as they do in cinematic closure, as we cursed the tides that drafted us. The ocean was only an ocean, and we were absolutely nothing. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Casey Curry, the Director of Creative Writing, and I just want to thank you for coming out tonight and enjoying the hard work of all of these wonderful writers. Before they take their final bow, I want to talk a little bit about the process of the spring reading. So many parents say, why is my child not up there? So let me explain just the process. It is grueling, it is difficult, but every part of it has a purpose, and it advances your student writer as a writer, and I think as a human being. The 11th graders plan the spring reading, and the first thing they have to do is come up with a theme. They post that theme. We know that this theme was Snapshot Remember When. They post the theme, and every student, except for the 12th grade class, gets the opportunity to submit anonymously, name not on your paper, poems and prose pieces that fit that theme. Many submit 5 pieces. Many submit 10. Many say, I'll just submit the piece I wrote last week that has nothing to do with that theme. They're not here tonight. So, then they read, and in this reading, I think they read through over 200 pieces. They all have to come to a consensus. They vote. Then they set the pieces up into sets. How do they fit? What brings them together? What makes them work? And I think they did a beautiful job of that.
my 5th year in this program, and I have to tell you, we have an empty black box in the spring. And each year, we transform that. They come up with costumes. They come up with a set. Then they come up with food that ties in. Then they have to print a program. And they work. They work hard. Then they have to post, just like a major Broadway play, or just like Who Made the Varsity Team. They post, the students wait to see if they got in, and it comes together. Then we go to rehearsals. I am so proud of them. I would like the 11th grade class to come and stand forward. Can you put this coming from here? It's not easy to do. You run the risk of your peers being angry with you. But once you do it, and I said to them every day, you must be fair. You must choose on the merit of the work. Isn't that a wonderful lesson? That's a life lesson to learn. And they did that. Beautiful. Great job. Great job. Thank you. Now, I thank you for coming. This is our first year ever doing 2 nights. In the past, we just had parents standing up at the door and not being able to get in and having to try and find seats. So we did it. I thank you for your cooperation. I thank you for coming out on an FCAT night. I thank you for driving them and juggling work schedules to get them at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock from rehearsal. I thank you. I am so grateful as a writer to have the opportunity to work with these writers. We are a diverse community. We just have so many different perspectives, but we have this harmony that is amazing, and I think you saw that tonight, and I am just so proud of them. Please.